Now, this is a pretty damn wild OTA that I'm sure is going to have a massive impact on the meta. And before that, we're going to dive into all the changes. There's actually quite a few here. But what's notable is that we got a major text change to Thanos. Thanos being completely reworked to some degree, and this isn't even a patch. This is an OTA, so Second Dinner flexing their newfound capabilities with being able to change text with their OTAs they've experimented with in the past, and clearly it's part of the game plan moving forward. This change to Thanos is very significant. I think it's going to be very meta relevant, and it's not the only change to Thanos in this OTA as well. But right off the top here, you used to start the game by shuffling 6 Infinity Stones into your deck. Now we're seeing something a little different. Thanos is going to start in your opening hand and then shuffle the 6 Infinity Stones into your deck. Two important notes that we got some clarification on from Glenn. Number one is that this is not like Agatha. Agatha is an additional card and your starting hand, okay? That's not what Thanos is. Thanos is going to occupy one of the starting cards for your starting hand. So it's more akin to Quicksilver than it is to Agatha. It's going to occupy one of the drawn cards, okay? So that is something worth noting right off the top, because that's worth considering. Agatha is one of the cool benefits I don't think a lot of people realize is that she is an extra card in the hand, starting hand. Thanos is not going to be like that, more like Quicksilver, okay? The other thing worth noting is that we received confirmation that the Infinity Stones are still not going to be part of the deck, which means that things like Mockingbird will still benefit from the play of the Infinity Stones, okay? They'll be discounted as if they weren't part of the original deck, which is something worth noting, okay? So two very important characteristics of the Thanos change moving forward. Now, ultimately, Thanos has been very dominant. I think they need to approach this with some caution because I think Thanos is such an iconic character, first of all, but secondly, a very interesting deck in Marvel Snap. It has a completely different play style than all the other ones, and it'd make me kind of sad to see it completely fall to the wayside. Should it be where it is right now? Absolutely not. And will it ever come back to be the number one deck in the game? You can damn well believe it, because we've already been tooting the horn of like, oh, you know, Thanos was dead, and then look, it just keeps coming back over and over again. We've said Thanos is dead like 3 times now, and it just keeps coming back. So it'd be really interesting to see what kind of approach they're going to take to kind of making it a long-term, viable, balanced approach. It can't always be number 1, but maybe it can always be around, you know, tier 1.5 range. That would be good for Thanos, because I think it's such an interesting deck and an interesting card as well. So we're seeing a bit of a shift up in the way Thanos is being played here, and it actually starts with the Time Stone. Now, other stones might be being changed. We don't know. I do not know the patch information whatsoever. I don't even have an inkling of it. But the Time Stone here being changed, and this goes from draw a card to give -1 cost, which used to be, this is the second OTA where the Time Stone is being changed. It used to give you 1 energy. Now it used to do the -1 cost. And now with the OTA, it gives Thanos -1 cost next turn, and you draw a card. You get the draw, and Thanos reduces in cost, going to a 5 cost, basically, okay? Is this good? Probably not. Maybe? I don't know. Probably not. I can't see it really benefiting that much. It's generally just, I guess, play 1, draw a card. So this is a pretty big hit to what Time Stone used to be, honestly. And maybe like with future changes, they're going to be leaning towards like, hey, maybe Thanos deck should be playing Thanos. You know what I mean? Like maybe that should be the part of the deck that's important. Whereas in the past, playing Thanos was like a liability. It almost felt like High Evo and Thanos occupied the same spot. You never want to play High Evo. And sometimes you defaulted by playing Thanos just because it was the only good thing you could do, right? So it looks like they're going to be taking a little bit of an approach to the way that stones are going to be interacting with Thanos. I think we're in for a lot of changes to the Mad Titan. Now, Meek. Who would have thought that Meek had to get nerfed? This is crazy, okay? I actually liked Meek in the original kind of iteration of it, but I thought it was missing something. Your boy had actually called out on the Snapchat to make it so that after the trigger was done, you could choose to move Meek, and apparently that was just way too damn much. Meek became the number 1 discard card after the Apocalypse nerf. So they're tuning him down ever so slightly. A 1 cost card should have some limitations, and Meek was just simply too good for an archetype that is honestly just a little too good as well. So this makes a lot of sense. Series 4 card, by the way. Series 4 card that I think kind of really swung under the radar at launch, but the change was significant. The text change to allowing it to move the next turn was a wildly significant change. So text doesn't change here, just 1 power nerfed, and you know, I think we can live with this. That's probably fine. Crossbones, I can't believe I'm even saying this right now. Crossbones is getting buffed. And in the developer note, they do mention here that they're comparing it to the Cull Obsidian. Now, Cull Obsidian has proven to be one of the best 4-drops in the game from a pure power perspective, and its condition is remarkably easy to meet. It's insanely easy to meet. So now we get to fight it out in the streets. Who is actually easier to play? Is it Crossbones or is it Cull Obsidian? It's probably still Cull Obsidian, but at least Crossbones has stats now. It almost seems like you'd consider playing Crossbones in specific style decks. Maybe the Crossbones Mr. Fantastic decks make a comeback. Who knows? But Crossbones is back. I mean, to say that Crossbones is back would imply that he was here in the first place. Crossbones has been one of the worst cards in the game since the inception of Crossbones. So, you know, at least he has a better chance now. Crossbones, maybe a good card? Sabertooth. I actually have some, I got pretty excited about this. I think that Sabertooth's ability has always been relatively powerful, but Destroy has been such a tightly wound archetype for so long. There's been no room for brewing, no room for experimentation. So giving an extra power to Saberpoo, my God, I just call him Saberpoo. It's actually funny now that I think about it. Giving extra power to Sabertooth is, I think, pretty fair. If it can start competing with like the Deathlock spot, I think that's cool, especially when you consider that Deathlock is like another Destroy activator. So if you have to fight between Sabertooth and Destroy, it's kind of interesting. Because like with the Sabertooth, obviously you're kind of amping up the value of the cards being destroyed. But with Deathlock, you have another activator for Deadpool. So you might start seeing more of like a movement towards, okay, what if we get the value of the cards destroyed increasing? Does that make Null a much more viable target? And don't forget that the 0/5 is pretty notable, especially if you have a free death as well and Null, and all of a sudden you can attack 3 locations at once as a Destroy player. I mean, I think I might be hoping a little bit, but ultimately I like to change. I like to change a lot. And they do mention like Black Swan, vanilla 3/5s. Well, it's not a vanilla 3/5 in a Destroy deck, right? Like it has potential to be much more than that. So I do like Sabertooth's change here, and hopefully it gives it an opportunity to start competing in Destroy to some regard. Angela is back. Major change here. Now, is it that major? I think it is major, specifically for Kitty Pryde and Elsa. Kitty Pryde and Elsa have had a little bit of a comeback, but ultimately have fallen away as people realize like they're just not that strong. And part of that was the package with Angela was just underperforming so significantly. You weren't getting the power from Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde was an activator, and so Angela was just getting +1. It just wasn't worth it, right? Especially in like the Silky Smooth style decks, Angela just felt so damn awkward because she just was so much effort for so little power. So now bringing her to a 2/0, getting +2 every time she's played on top of, is huge for Kitty Pryde. It's huge for Elsa. It's huge for Silky Smooth. All those movement-based cards, this is a significant change. And like, yes, it's a little weaker than the 2/1 Angela we had before, but we still have that scaling 2-power threat that lasts throughout the game in Angela, which we've been clamoring for. This is a good change. I'm glad it happened. This is a card that needed a little bit of love, so I'm glad it got it, okay? So Angela, I think, is back. And let's see if it sticks. The landing, as we have ourselves another video here for you if you're interested in seeing some more content, guys. One thing worth noting is we've got a patch coming up next week. So we're hoping for something big. Let's hope for some new content, and we'll see you on that next Marvel Snap video.